time in the moment that we are living. And it was interesting that today I was reading in Ephesians 5:16. He said, this is what Paul said. He says, make the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. So what Paul, even back in the first century, recognized that circumstances around the world can get rather chaotic. And also as well, the so-called established norms can be actually busted apart. Well, that's exactly what we see happening in our world today. And you would have to look at it and say, what is going on today? I mean, in just the last 5 weeks, we've had so much change. Here you have, United States, which was at one time the leader of the free world, basically saying, we don't want that responsibility anymore. You have yesterday the chancellor of the German Republic saying, you know what? We'll take on that responsibility. Today, of course, the leader of the UK is finding himself down in United States in Washington, and he's going to be talking about things. So you say, my goodness, there is certainly a lot of wild stuff happening these days, and it's absolutely true. So here's Paul saying, listen, the days are evil. Now, if you subscribe to the idea that I do, which is, of course, that this world is led by a demonic force called Satan, and it was proven in Jesus's temptation in the wilderness when Satan tempted him, and the final temptation was this. Hey, listen, he showed him all the kingdom of this world, and he said, I can give this to whoever I want. All I want you to do is worship me. Just bow down and worship me and acknowledge me as the sovereign. And Jesus said, listen, you're only to worship the Lord your God only. So Paul called him the God of this world, small g. And so basically, when we look at the backstory of what's going on in our world today, we know that it is basically being pushed ahead by, certain evil forces. And that's what Paul was talking about. So how do you respond to all of this? Well, number one, you got to make the most of every opportunity. I'm a bit of a realist, and the realist is the fact that the only day that we really have is the one that we're given. I mean, think about yesterday. I don't know what happened in your life yesterday, but you can't change it. And you can't change the future because the simple fact is you don't know what the future is going to be. So what you need to do is, of course, you need to be thinking about today. You need to be thinking about how that you can impact today, how that you can maximize today, how that you can touch people today, encourage people, love people, work on the relationships that are important. Understand that there are people that will come into your life today that you may never see them again. I remember when I was driving one time in British Columbia on Highway 3A, and I was driving down the road, and Lord said to me, pick that guy up. So I picked the guy up. Now, I only had about 8 or 9 minutes with him. So you know what I did? I laid it on him. I mean, I told him all about the things of the Lord. And I invited him to give his life to Christ. He says, well, I'm not ready. I said, okay, that's no problem. I was just sowing seed. I never saw that guy again. Okay? Never saw him again. Don't know what happened to him. But you know what I did? I maximized the moment. My next door neighbor that I had in the community of Montrose in the same area, I knew that I was leaving. I was selling my house and it was kind of the last day that I was ever going to be there. So I went next door and I had a nice conversation with him and his wife. And I said, listen, you're probably never going to see me again. I haven't seen them since that moment. But, I expressed my love for them, my appreciation for them. I talked to them about giving their lives to the Lord. And we had a wonderful conversation. We hugged each other. Never saw them again. May never see him again. I'm never, it's not my inclination to go back to some place where I have used to live. It's not my inclination. I live in the moment. I love every day that I have. I appreciate every day that I live. Now, maybe it's because of the fact that I drive motorcycles. Who knows? Every season when I put my motorcycle away, I consider it a successful season. Every time I go for a drive and ride and come home in one piece, it's a successful season. I've had several motorcycle buddies of mine who have had accidents. And I remember talking to one who was, sitting with me. He was actually not riding a motorcycle. And he said, I'm having a hard time convincing my wife to allow me to have another motorcycle because he was pretty severely hurt. And it took him about 2 years to come back from the situation. He loves motorcycles. He loves to go out there. But his wife says, you're not having a motorcycle anymore. Well, that's the reality of those who ride the hog. So the simple fact is, make the most of every opportunity. It was David who said, this is the day which the Lord hath made. I'll rejoice and be glad in it. So this particular scripture just absolutely hit me and said, yeah, that's right. Make the most of every opportunity. Make the most of the relationship that you have with your spouse, if you have one. Make the most of opportunities that you have with your family, if you have a family. Make the most of opportunity if you have friends. Make sure that you connect with them. Make sure that today you call them, you text them, maybe go have coffee with them. Make the most of that. Make the most of the people that you meet in the supermarket, Home Depot, wherever you meet people. Make the most of that opportunity and love on them. Show them kindness. Show them a smile. If a hug is in due, give a hug. I mean, we're not living in the pandemic anymore, so you can hug somebody. You can touch somebody. No, be careful how you touch them. But the simple fact is, make the most of showing love. It was William Booth, who was the leader of the Salvation Army. They said, can you put the Salvation Army in a nutshell? Can you give us one word that describes the Salvation Army? And if you've ever known anything about the Salvation Army, you know it's the social gospel in action. And he said, sure, others. It's all about others. And I love what Patch Adams said, or Robin Williams said in the movie Patch Adams. He says, if you invest in people, he says, you win every time. It doesn't mean that everybody that you meet is wonderful, but when you have an opportunity, minister to them. Because Jesus said this. He says, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. So the simple fact is, treat people the way that you wanted to be treated and that you want to be treated by others. Do that. Make that your aim. Make that your goal. And make it... there's a statement that goes along this line. People may not always remember what you say, but they're always going to remember how you made them feel. So make them feel like they were important. For example, when you're having a conversation with someone, stare at them. I mean, keep eye contact is what I'm talking about. Let them know that they are important to you. Not be looking around, but look them and say, you know what? Appreciate you. I see what you bring to the table. I'm so grateful for you. Encourage them, inspire them, equip them, love them, mentor them. Whatever they are looking for, maybe they're just looking for a listening ear. I've had many opportunities where, I meet people and I do the cold conversation, and before you know it, I'm listening to an incredible life story. It's really wonderful, and sometimes it leads for me to pray for them. I've had people say to me, they'll give me their life story, and then I say, "Can I pray for you?" And the truth of the matter is, no one has ever turned me down. No one. And so I pray for them, and they say, "Thank you for doing that." I had that opportunity last night. A young fellow named Chris, lovely young man. He needed prayer, so I prayed for him. And he said, "Thank you so very much." So what I'm saying is, make the most of every opportunity, because the times that we live in, according to Paul, are evil. And we know all you have to do is look at the news and you're going, wow, there is some wild stuff going out there. And it is. So take advantage of it. Whenever it happens, love on people and show them that you care. Make them feel that they are important. It's a little thought for you today. My name is Robert Dean Steele. I want to thank you so much for spending time with me. And if you like what you've been hearing, then press the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You have yourself a great and godly day.